What is up, Edison duelists? This is Dionysus, aka Young Puds, coming at you guys with some more shameless hypebeast Gigavise content. Now, today, the day I'm recording this, is actually Valentine's Day, and Valentine's Day is a day for love, and there's a lot of people in my life that I love, but today I want to talk to you guys about what I love. I can't say most, but a whole lot, and that is playing Gigavise. But sometimes people ask me, hey, have you ever tried playing Gigavise in Tengu format or hat format? And my response to that is I have, but honestly, cards like Effect Veiler, cards like Max C just dunk on this deck so much the deck loses to hand traps. And when I tell people that, they say, well, hey, there's hand traps in Edison format. There's this little card, maybe you've heard of it. It's called DD Crow. And it seems to me like that is a card that is going to just absolutely destroy you, dunk them. And when people say that, what do? Well, I just link them this video. So let's look at two matches and then decide for ourselves if DD Crow really is all that. So here, this first match, this is against a guy playing Vayu Turbo. This is Blue Eyes, who I played on ladder the other day. And I actually just played him on ladder earlier tonight, right before I recorded this video, and I lost. So Blue Eyes is definitely a good duelist. Shout out to him. So we are going to begin our turn after winning the die roll with an Upstart Goblin, drawing into Super Solar Nutrient. And I am going to elect to set the Dandelion. I don't think it's going to be worth setting the copy plant and using Super Solar right away. That seems not so good. Instead, I think setting the Dandelion, if he allows me to keep my tokens around, that is going to be really, really good for me. Definitely is going to be a bit of a high roll. And if he doesn't, then I still have Super Solar with copy plant next turn. So I think this is a really good example of you want to put yourself in the best possible situation. You know, there's a lot of outcomes that could come from just setting the Dandelion, setting the Judgment, and passing. And the worst outcome is still okay for me, and the best outcome is almost game on the spot. So he is going to go ahead and draw, and he is going to draw a Card Trooper, which must excite him because that has potential to make that Chaos Sorcerer live right away. If he can get the Chaos Sorcerer live, Deck Devi is live. He has already milled one Dark. He mills a Torrential. That's not good. Now I know that I don't have to play around that card. And then he mills a Sirocco. So he didn't get the light he was looking for, but getting that Sirocco is going to be pretty good for a Vayu player like him. Now he's going to attack into our Dandelion and give us our 2 tokens and then set 1 and pass. And given that we have a Judgment set and a Super Solar and a copy plant in hand, this is just about the best outcome you could ask for. So I draw into an Upstart Goblin, but rather than give him the 1,000 life points immediately, I think I have enough to get game on board already. So I'm going to hold off on that Upstart Goblin. Now I'm going to go ahead and fire the Lone Fire Blossom into another Lone Fire Blossom into a Gigaplant. He's going to have the Bottomless. We have the Solemn Judgment to stop that. We are going to copy the Gigaplant to get a Power Tool Dragon and go into our guaranteed Supervise. This kind of line with the Super Solar and the copy plant and the 2 tokens is very, very common. So we are going to go into another Power Tool Dragon here and then reveal 2 more. Of course, 66 rounds up to 100, so we do get that Supervise again, and then we are going to give it to our Gigaplant and begin trying to attack for game after summoning that Titanial. So he is going to take the damage and draw a card. He does have that Gores in hand, which is going to let him survive. He's going to elect to drop it at the last possible moment, so he gets as much board presence as possible. I say, you know what, let's kill the Gores. If you want to get rid of the Gigaplant, you're going to have to crash that token. That's also going to be really good for us because Gores would be a Deck Devi target. Of course, in this case, it's not. Main phase 2 will fire that Upstart Goblin. I think I can get through 3,400 life points just as easily as 2,400 next turn, and the potential to draw something to help protect this board, a Discard Trap, a Threatening Roar, a Mirror Force. Any of those cards would be fantastic draws, even a Trap Dust Shoot, but we don't see any of them. That's perfectly fine with us. He's going to switch that token into attack. He's going to check his graveyard, and then he is going to admit defeat because he just doesn't have enough to out it. That Dimensional Prison is not going to help into our Titanial. He has no good way to clear it. He has no lights in grave. So he is going to say, hey, let me side in all of my hate, and let's go right into the next game. So he does open pretty decent here, seeing the Armageddon Knight, seeing the Brain Control, seeing the Greffer. Drawing that Greffer, I think, is really going to put him over the edge because he has 2 cards, that Vayu and that Plague, that he would love to discard. And he is, in fact, going to discard the Vayu, sending the Necrogardna. I think that's really smart. He has the Armageddon Knight to get the Sirocco to really turn things on. And in the meantime, the Necrogardna is going to hopefully prevent him from dying if we have the nuts. And now we do have a pretty good hand here. We have the Super Solar, we have the Dandy, we have the Mark, we have the Trunade. So we're just a little bit away from winning. I'm going to elect once again to set the Dandy and then set a Book of Moon. So I am believing that between the Book of Moon, I'm going to be able to keep at least 1 token on board, and then next turn I'll be able to attribute that token with Super Solar to get Lone Fire, and then Hidden Armory because I haven't used my normal summon to find my way into a Supervise. So let's see if that works out. He does draw the DD Crow, so he has some strong defense, some strong interruption for our combos. We did allow that Greffer to stick around, which could present us a problem, especially because he has another excellent target in Plague to discard, and he's able to send that Sirocco without even committing the Armageddon Knight. So that is definitely spelling potential bad news for us, and he is going to follow up by normal summoning that Armageddon Knight to send Vayu to grave. So now he has 2 Vayu, so he has that second Vayu ready to go if the Armed Wing that he's making right here is able to be destroyed. And he is going to go ahead and play very aggressively and choose to put that Brain Control back on his deck for later and summon out the Plague Spreader Zombie and then Synchro Summon right into one of the best cards in Edison Format, Dark End Dragon. I think it's really cool that we get to have access to this prize card. I remember I played a lot of Shadal Format, and in that format, the duelists who had access to Giant Hand definitely had a leg up. I also remember cards like Minerva really making a difference. So I think Edison, it's cool that, thanks to reprints, everyone can enjoy Dark End Dragon access. So he's going to use Dark End Dragon to clear the Dandelion. I think that's an excellent play in case that was a Recruiter, in case that was a Raikou. It's also just going to mean that after he kills both of my tokens, he gets to get in for damage. That Book of Moon is going to do absolutely nothing to prevent me from, or to prevent him from killing all my tokens. So now that Super Solar is just not very useful at all. We do draw into Decree, which I feel like that's a pretty good card. And then now we have a pretty cool play here. We're going to fire the Mark of the Rose to steal the Dark End Dragon. We're going to use its effect once, and that is going to get rid of the Dark Greffer, and then we're going to put the Dark End Dragon face down with our own Book of Moon. Now this is fantastic because Mark of the Rose is going to fall off, and now we get to keep Dark End Dragon forever. So we have some permanent field presence. We're going to flip summon it, and then we're going to use its effect again just to absolutely clear his board, and then we are going to attack him directly. Now, after this, we are going to go ahead and fire the Hidden Armory, and in this case, we are going to get the DDR. I think that's going to be a little more useful to us than a Supervise because that Super Solar Nutrient is not live yet, and it's actually going to set us up for a really cool play. Maybe you can already see the line, maybe not, but a DDR is definitely the correct thing to get there. He's going to draw that Brain Control. I don't know if that's going to be the most useful thing. Stealing that Dark End Dragon back, probably not very helpful. Instead, he is going to go ahead and make an Armor Master, and he is going to attack into our Dark End Dragon, dealing 400, getting it out of the graveyard. He is sitting at 4 Darks in grave now, but that Necrogardna comes out easy enough. So Dark Armed Dragon is definitely a threat. We are going to draw into another Hidden Armory. And here I'm looking at my life, I'm at 5,500. This is definitely a tight spot. I could try and make a play now, but I decide to push my luck just a little bit and hit an armory for a Supervise, and then I'm going to try to win on the next turn. Definitely a gamble to take. There are some cards that I would lose to, but he's not able to get that Necrogardna out of his graveyard this turn, so Dad is not going to be a threat right away. I'm not really, committing much to the board, so coming up with another 3,000 damage, especially with Plague already spent, with this many Vayu pieces already spent, is easier said than done. And in fact, he's not going to be able to do it. He is just going to draw into a Raiko, and he will be forced to swing with the Armor Master. We'll take that 25. He's going to set the Raiko and then pass it back to us. Now we are going to draw into Upstart Goblin, and I'm going to think for a second, and I am going to fire the Upstart Goblin. Always worth considering if that really is your best option. The life points are going to matter. Now we are going to draw into the Mark of the Rose. He'll gain the life points, and now is going to be our first pop quiz of the video. We have the Decree set. We have Trunade, Supervise, Super Solar, DDR, Mark the Rose in hand. It is your job now. Pause the video. Find a line to win on this turn through DD Crow and through Necrogardna. Take the time to think it out. Think about the best line that you can come up with. Give you a couple seconds. Make sure you're pausing it. I don't want to spoil anything for you. And let's hope you figured it out. Let me show you what I did. Let me show you my line. I think this is a pretty nifty line. So I go ahead and DDR, discarding the Mark of the Rose to bring back Dandelion. At this time, I am going to fire the Giant Trunade, returning DDR to my hand as well as Decree. That is going to destroy the Dandelion, summoning 2 tokens, which is going to allow us to fire that Super Solar Nutrient. From there, we will tribute Lone Fire for another Lone Fire, and then we are going to tribute that Lone Fire for Gigaplant. At this time, we can now use Supervise to summon back the Lone Fire Blossom, and then summon a Copy Plant with that Lone Fire Blossom. From there, we can Synchro Summon into Power Tool Dragon. He is going to fire the DD Crow now. I had a feeling he had that, and that's just fine because we put that DDR back in our hand with Giant Trunade as well as a card to discard for it. So he'll banish the Gigaplant. That is, like I said, perfectly fine for us. We are going to reveal 2 Supervise and a DDR. It doesn't matter which one we get. We do get the Supervise, however, because, say it with me folks, 66% rounds up to 100. Then we're going to be able to DDR, discarding the Decree to bring back Gigaplant. Gigaplant effect, summon Lone Fire Blossom. Lone Fire Blossom effect is going to allow us to summon Nettles, and then we are going to Synchro Summon for Mistworm, at which point he is going to go ahead and scoop, but we did have game through the Necrogardna. All we had to do is Mistworm, return both of his cards to the hand or extra deck respectively. Supervise will bring back the Gigaplant, and then we still have our normal summon, so we can normal summon the Gigaplant, summon Titanial, and those 3 monsters are more than enough to deal 6,900 nice points of damage. And that is going to be the game. So I hope you were able to find that line. If you weren't able to find that line, I hope if you're in this situation or a similar one in the future, you're able to see it again. I also hope this really shows off that DDR is not always the death sentence that some people want to say it is. So let's check this next game. This is against Black Wings, the other bird deck, and you can see we have opened the Dream Hand. Our opponent is going to go first, but we have that Giant Trunade, we have Lone Fire, we have Supervise, we have a Miracle Fertilizer, which is potential plays on the next turn. I don't even care that we drew that Copy Plant. It just doesn't matter, folks. So we're going to fire that Trunade, activate Lone Fire Blossom for another Lone Fire Blossom for a Gigaplant, and then we are going to equip that Gigaplant with a Supervise, use its effect to bring out a Titanial. And here, I think we should have fired the Upstart Goblin before we attack, because depending on our draw, we can feel more or less comfortable playing into Gores. However, I do end up holding it until after battle phase. Not the biggest deal in the world, but just to be safe, I am going to play around Gores here very carefully and just attack with the 2400, not the 28. I could handle a Gores and the token. Those would be big. Those would out the Gigaplant, but they're not going to get over the Titanial, and I do have some crackback with Fertilizer. So I was okay with giving him the 2400 token, but honestly, if I had drawn Threatening Roar, I would have been able to attack for both, and since he didn't have Gores, that would have been even more damage. Regardless, let's see what he's going to draw. He does draw the Kalut, which is going to be a fantastic draw for him. He really kind of has a little bit of everything. He's going to fire the Brain Control, and I'm going to think about this, and I'm actually going to tribute the Titanial. I'm kind of thinking that, all right, well, I don't know what you're playing. I saw the Legacy, so there's a good chance it's Black Wings, but even so, I kind of am doubting that you're going to have multiple things to target, and you might have something that is going to be some sort of sweeper or board clear, and you wanted to get that supervise off the Gigaplant. So this feels a little stickier, especially with the threatening roar. So I am comfortable with that decision, but ultimately it is going to definitely punish me because he is going to be able to search the Gale after summoning Sirocco, and then he's going to summon that Gale and have our attack on Gigaplant. That hurts, folks. Now, we do have the threatening roar, so we are going to be able to live, and that Gigaplant is still going to be live. And then he is just going to set 2 cards and pass it back to us. With that Kalute and these 2 Blackwings, that Dark Arm Dragon is looking to be live very soon. And that Icarus attack is definitely going to present a threat. Now, fortunately for us, or rather unfortunately, he's going to Icarus attack right away, getting rid of the Gale. Supervise is going to let us bring back Gigaplant, but he's prepared for that too. He has the bottomless trap hole. Now I am feeling a little more comfortable here because we don't have any traps to worry about. So I'm going to feel very safe firing the Miracle Fertilizer, looking for the Crow first, checking for it. Main deck Crow is definitely a threat these days. I'm going to mark the Rose to steal the Sirocco, and now I am going to fire the Lone Fire Blossom. And you know what? Let's make this the second pop quiz of the video. What are we getting with this Lone Fire? That's right, we are getting Nettles. I feel like making a Power Tool Dragon is going to be very strong. 2500 is a decent butt. It's not the easiest thing for Blackwings to out. He's definitely going to need the Kalute. He's probably going to be able to find a way to Kalute. Of course, he already has one with Black Whirlwind. But most importantly, Power Tool Dragon is going to search for me for another equip spell, which is going to make sure I have something to do next turn. So I'm going to choose to reveal 2 DRs and the Mark the Rose. Mark is going to pair nicely with Copy Plant. I could try and get a Supervise here, but since I don't have an easy way to Lone Fire or Gigaplant already, I feel like Supervise is just not going to be so impactful. So it's going to be better to reveal those 2. And we do actually low roll here into the Mark of the Rose. I don't really know why that happened. As far as I know, 66% always rounds up to 100%. So this is just a wildly improbable event. Definitely feels kind of bad. So he draws into the Trap Dust Shoot, which is great for us because we don't have that many cards in hand. And he's definitely going to think about his options here. He has 2 Darks in the graveyard, so trying to get a third is going to be key. So he is just going to set that Kalute and then set another one. This is definitely something where I'm going to have to respect Icarus attack. I'm going to be a little afraid of that. And then we draw maybe the best draw possible in Miracle Fertilizer. Now we are going to use the Power Tool Dragon. This time, now that we have the Fertilizer, Supervise would be live should we get it. So we are going to banish or reveal 2 Supervise and a DDR. And now everything is right with the world. 66% is rounding up to 100, and we do get that Supervise. This puts us at 4 cards in hand, so he's going to go ahead and fire the Trap Dust Shoot now to make sure he gets some value out of it. I think you could argue here that it might be correct just to leave it set. Just so I have to play a little more carefully. But now, once again, he has no cards in the back row, and I'm going to feel very comfortable firing that Fertilizer and trying to go for game, which he sees that he has no way to stop, so he will pass it back to me. Shame that he couldn't get the Dad live, but that's why we put the Power Tool Dragon in defense. No reason to put it in attack there, especially when we can get more damage by just swinging with its materials. That's pretty common, I would say, where you can use Power Tool Dragon a little conservatively like that. And now we are drawing just not a great hand, folks. This DDR Fertilizer Copy Plant Book of Moon Royal Decree is not going to do a lot for us, especially into Shura. So our opponent is coming out of the gate swinging, ready for action, and we draw into a Twister, which, folks, that is just no help at all. We already have it like a decree to out a potential oppression, so Twister is just not good whatsoever here, folks. What can I say? And now he is going to go ahead and flip that Heavy Storm that he pro set, which is just going to blow our Decree out of the water. Thankfully, Decree wasn't going to do anything anyways because he doesn't have any traps. So I'm not too broken up about this. He is going to swing in for 1800. We're not dead yet, so that's perfectly fine. And then he's going to set that Vayu. It could be representing anything. I'm definitely in game. I'm thinking, oh, well, that is a Fossil Dino for sure, bro. But I don't really have anything else going on, so I'm gonna just be forced to set that Book of Moon, which hopefully if he goes for a big push will keep us from dying. He's going to draw into a Sirocco, but not wanting to play into Torrential or the like, he is just going to swing again with that Bora, or that Shura rather. Now we are drawing Super Solar Nutrient, which is very, very good for us. And this time, I am feeling like, hey, this is kind of a piss or get off the pot kind of situation. We have a fertilizer to bring back the Lone Fire, and we have the Book of Moon, so we might even be able to, help protect whatever we get. I think about it, there's merits maybe for going for Gigaplant here, but ultimately I decide that I just need to put up a board presence that is going to be as strong as possible, and then hope to draw into a Supervise or a Hidden Armory to go with the fertilizer later. Pretty good odds of that. 29 cards left in deck. 6 of those are Supervise with 3 Hidden Armory and 3 Supervise. So it's the most likely outcome out of all the possible outcomes that we see a Supervise compared to any other specific card. Of course, it's more likely that we don't draw it, but that's probability. You can talk about theory all you want. I think it's always fun to convince myself that I'm about to draw something good. Anyways, we are going to swing with Titanial. He takes his time before he sends that Shura away, just to give us pause, make us think that he's thinking about Kalut. Always powerful to bluff your thinks, duelists. And now, unfortunately for him, that's so sad. He draws the Kalut here. That has got to hurt. But not too bad, because he's definitely still making progress. He is going to tribute summon that Sirocco after setting up the Black Whirlwind. And this would be a big problem for us if we didn't have that Book of Moon. We're going to be able to put Sirocco face down, and not only does that stop his threatening monster from existing, he doesn't have a Blackwing to special summon Boras or Gales along with, and even worse for him, he doesn't get his search off Whirlwind, because Whirlwind needs to check the Blackwing monster's attack when it resolves. So we are just going to be sitting pretty here. He only has 2 Darks in Grave. Now you could argue right now that maybe the best play would be to pitch DD Crow and summon your Dark Arm Dragon, crash into the Titanial, try and get it off the field, or even fire its effect to force me to negate, but he is going to play a little more conservatively. I'm sure he feels very safe with 7,000 life points and able to turn on the Crow, and then we draw that Supervise. Just like I said, we're more likely, the mode of our options was seeing Supervise, and hey, we saw it. So what can you say? Maybe maybe 6 and 29 also rounds up to 100. Maybe that's the new meme. Anyways, we're going to fire the fertilizer to try and summon that Lone Fire. I'm playing a little quickly, but he does chain DD Crow to the fertilizer, banishing the Lone Fire Blossom. And folks, that is the best possible outcome for us. He's actually helped us with that DD Crow, because now we still have our normal summon. Always keep in mind that Miracle Fertilizer only takes away your normal summon if you successfully special summon. And since we are unsuccessful in our special summon, we still have a normal summon in the bank. So that is just as good as it gets. We are going to bring back that Lone Fire Blossom, discarding Twister to summon out our Gigaplant, and then we are going to give that Gigaplant a Supervise, summon a Copy Plant. I love feeling like this when I can just go for Power Tool freely. Even if I miss, I always have the normal summon ready for the Gigaplant. And here, let's see if our axiom holds true. Does 66% rounds up to 100? Of course it does, folks. It always does. It always rounds up to 100. We're going to give that Gigaplant a Supervise, summon out Lone Fire Blossom. Here we're going to get Nettles, just to make a Stardust Dragon. I think it's pretty clear that we have game here, but I don't know, you got to play around every contingency. We are going to bring back the Gigaplant, normal summon the Gigaplant, and at this point our opponent is going to concede that we have won. So I hope both of these games were instructive. I hope they definitely showed off that DD Crow is definitely a powerful option sometimes. You could see that if I didn't have the follow-up, DD Crow would have shut down my plays in both of these turns and definitely, helped win the game. But, DDR I'm very likely to have. It's a very searchable card. It's very easy for it to sit in my hand because it's not going to be live right away. And more often than not, if I have the DDR, your DD Crow is just not going to do anything. So keep that in mind when you're siding, when you're preparing against Gigavise. If you're one of the apostates out there who is trying to stop us, always keep in mind that that is a fruitless endeavor. Truly, Gigavise is the best deck in the format. If you're not playing it, you're doing something wrong. Anyways, that's all I've got for you guys today. Please subscribe. I really appreciate it. It really encourages me to keep putting out this daily shameless hypebeast Gigavise content. When I see that subscriber number go up, what can I say? I like to see my numbers go up. I used to play classic World of Warcraft a lot, and that really trained my brain to, give me that dopamine if I see a number go up. So help those numbers go up, smash that like button, help that number go up, leave a comment on the video with what you would like to see me play against next. I'll be sure to post that. I do read every single comment, and I try and respond to as many as I can. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you tomorrow with more shameless, hypebeast, Gigavise content. This is Dionysus, aka Young Puds, signing off.